I'm the woman everyone thinks destroyed a beautiful friendship over a drunken mistake. But what they don't know is that I was sober. It happened 3 times, and I chose his best friend specifically because I knew it would hurt him. That's the truth nobody's hearing, and yeah, it makes me the villain in every version of this story. What's killing me isn't just that Marcus ghosted me completely, blocked on everything, mutual friends choosing sides, his entire family treating me like I don't exist. It's that I can't defend myself without admitting I did something so much worse than what everyone already believes. They think I got drunk at a party and made a terrible choice. The reality would make them understand why he won't even look at me anymore. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you everything, including the part where I watched Marcus plan our future while I was actively sabotaging it. Because someone needs to know the whole story, even if it confirms that I'm exactly as terrible as he thinks I am. I met Marcus during my second year of college, back when I was still convinced I was unlovable in any permanent way. My parents' marriage had imploded spectacularly the year before. Dad's affair, mom's breakdown, the whole clique disaster, and I'd internalized this belief that everyone eventually leaves. Marcus was different though. He was steady, loyal. The kind of guy who remembered your coffee order and actually showed up when he said he would. We started dating in October, right as the leaves were turning. He'd bring me hot chocolate between classes, wait outside my dorm even when I was running late, introduce me to his friends like I was someone worth showing off. His best friend since childhood, Tyler, was part of the package. They'd grown up next door to each other, gone to the same schools, planned to start a business together after graduation. Tyler was charismatic where Marcus was thoughtful, impulsive where Marcus was careful. I noticed the difference immediately. For the first few months, everything felt almost suspiciously perfect. Marcus would hold my hand while we studied, make playlists for me, talk about trips we'd take together someday. I kept waiting for him to realize I wasn't worth all that effort. Every time he said, "I love you," I heard for now. Every plan he made felt like a promise he'd eventually break. Tyler noticed before Marcus did that I was struggling with something. He'd catch me zoning out during group hangouts, ask if I was okay when I got too quiet. I should have recognized what was happening, this slow pull towards someone who saw my cracks instead of just my surface. Instead, I told myself it was nice to have Marcus's best friend looking out for me too. The first warning sign came in February, during Tyler's birthday party. Marcus was in the kitchen getting more drinks, and Tyler leaned in close, told me he was glad Marcus had found someone real for once. The way he said it, the way he looked at me, there was something underneath the words that made my stomach flip. I didn't pull away, I should have pulled away. Marcus came back with our drinks oblivious, and I felt this sick satisfaction at having a secret he didn't know about. Nothing had happened technically, but something had shifted. I'd felt desired by someone who wasn't supposed to desire me, and it filled a hole I didn't even know was there. Over the next month, I started paying more attention to Tyler during group activities. How he laughed, how he told stories, how he seemed to command whatever room he entered. Marcus was wonderful, attentive, thoughtful, consistent, but Tyler was exciting, unpredictable, and I started wondering what it would feel like if that energy was directed at me specifically. Here's the thing nobody understands: I didn't fall into anything. I chose it, deliberately. It started with small boundary violations I told myself didn't matter. Texting Tyler separately from the group chat, just casual stuff at first. Sitting next to him instead of Marcus during movie nights, feeling that electric awareness of his proximity. Laughing a little too hard at his jokes. Marcus noticed enough to tease me about bonding with his best friend, which just made it feel safer somehow, like I had permission to get closer. Tyler started reciprocating in March, a hand on my lower back when we walked through doorways. Inside jokes that excluded Marcus. Once, when Marcus went to the bathroom during dinner, Tyler looked directly at me and said, "You're too interesting for anyone to fully figure out." I felt seen in a way that should have terrified me but instead felt validating. I rationalized it constantly. Marcus and I were solid, so what harm was a little flirtation? Tyler was his best friend, which meant these feelings were obviously just confused friendship emotions. I wasn't actually going to do anything. I was just enjoying feeling wanted by two people instead of one. The rationalization was its own kind of lie, and I knew it. Marcus started mentioning our future more frequently around this time. He'd talk about the apartment we'd get after graduation, the road trip he wanted to take me on that summer, how he'd already told his parents I'd be coming to their anniversary party in June. Every plan felt like another rope tying me down, and instead of feeling loved, I felt trapped. Tyler mentioned he was thinking about doing a semester abroad. Something about the thought of him leaving created this artificial urgency that I manufactured entirely in my own head. Looking back, I can see I was building myself a justification structure for something I'd already decided to do. The first time was April 3rd. Marcus had an exam the next morning and went to bed early. Tyler and I were supposedly watching a movie in the common area of Marcus's apartment. We were both completely sober. I need you to understand that. I sat next to him on the couch, close enough that our legs touched. He didn't move away. Neither did I. We shouldn't be doing this, I said, which was really just another way of asking if we were going to do it. Probably not, Tyler agreed, and then he kissed me. I kissed him back. I'd been thinking about it for weeks, and when it finally happened, my first thought wasn't guilt. It was relief, validation, proof that I was the kind of person multiple people could want. We made out for maybe 20 minutes before we heard Marcus's bedroom door open. We separated instantly, Tyler changing the channel like nothing had happened, me pretending to be absorbed in my phone. Marcus came out to get water, kissed the top of my head, asked if we wanted anything. I said no with Tyler's taste still on my lips. The second time was worse because I initiated it. Marcus had class, Tyler was at the apartment alone, and I texted him, studying at yours today. I told myself I needed a quiet place to work. I knew exactly what I was doing. We had sex on Marcus's couch. The same couch where Marcus and I watched movies, where he told me he loved me for the first time, where he planned our future. I remember Tyler asking, "Are you sure?" and me saying yes immediately, like I'd been waiting for permission. Afterwards, I felt powerful. Not guilty, powerful. Like I'd proven something about my own desirability. Tyler seemed shaken, kept saying this couldn't happen again, that Marcus was his best friend. I agreed out loud while mentally calculating when we'd next be alone together. I went to Marcus's that evening like nothing had changed. He'd made dinner pasta with this specific sauce I'd mentioned liking once, and I ate it while he talked about his day. He mentioned Tyler seemed weird lately, kind of distant. I suggested maybe he was stressed about classes. Marcus accepted this explanation easily because he trusted both of us completely. That trust should have destroyed me. Instead, it felt like confirmation that I was smarter than everyone thought. I was getting away with it. The third time was planned. Marcus was going home for the weekend to help his dad with something. Tyler and I made arrangements to meet up without explicitly stating why. We went at Tyler's place this time, spent the whole afternoon together. We didn't even pretend it was accidental anymore. Tyler kept stopping to say this was fucked up, that we needed to tell Marcus. I'd kiss him to shut him up, and it worked every time. I was in complete control of the situation, or so I believed. What I didn't realize was that control was just another word for self-destruction. Marcus came back from his weekend with flowers for me, and a story about how his mom kept asking when she'd get to meet me properly. He'd apparently talked about me the entire time he was home. His dad had joked about him being totally whipped. Marcus told me this with zero embarrassment, just pure happiness at having someone he wanted to talk about. I thanked him for the flowers and felt nothing but annoyance at his transparency. Tyler started pulling back after that. He stopped responding to my texts as quickly, made excuses when I suggested we hang out. I told myself he was just being cautious, that we'd find another opportunity. What I was really doing was waiting for the inevitable, the confrontation, the discovery, the explosion. Part of me wanted it. The crash came in early May, but not the way I expected. Marcus suggested a weekend trip, just the two of us, this cabin his family owned upstate. He'd been planning it for weeks, had this whole romantic setup in mind. The night before we were supposed to leave, Tyler showed up at my dorm. I told him, Tyler said immediately. I couldn't do it anymore. I told Marcus everything. My first reaction wasn't horror, it was rage. Tyler had taken my choice away. I wanted to be the one to control when and how the truth came out, and he'd stolen that from me. I actually screamed at him for it, told him he'd ruined everything. You ruined everything, Tyler said, looking at me like he was seeing me clearly for the first time. You used both of us. You wanted this to happen. He wasn't wrong, but I wasn't ready to admit that yet. Marcus called me 17 times that night. I didn't answer. I crafted this perfect text message about how sorry I was, how it was a drunken mistake, how I loved him and only him. I sent it knowing he probably already knew the real details from Tyler, but I sent it anyway because I needed to establish the narrative I wanted. He never responded to that text. The next morning I was blocked on everything. Phone, social media, email, every avenue of contact just gone. I went to his apartment and his roommate answered, told me Marcus didn't want to see me. When I asked about Marcus's state of mind, the roommate just looked at me with pure disgust and closed the door in my face. Tyler sent me one message. He knows it was 3 times. He knows you were sober. He knows you came to my place when he was visiting his parents. I'm sorry, but he deserved the truth. We both betrayed him, but at least I finally stopped lying about it. That's when the panic actually set in. Not guilt yet, panic at losing control of the situation. I'd wanted the confession on my terms with my framing. Instead, Marcus had the unvarnished truth that I'd deliberately, repeatedly slept with his best friend while sober and planning it in advance. The social fallout was immediate and brutal. Marcus and I shared a friend group, and within 48 hours, every single one of them had chosen his side. Group chats I was in went silent or I was removed. People who'd hung out with me for months suddenly couldn't make eye contact in the dining hall. Someone, I still don't know who, posted a vague but clearly directed message on their Instagram story about people who betray trust and blame alcohol. Got shared around campus enough that people who didn't even know me personally seemed to know I'd done something terrible. I became the cautionary tale, the girl who cheated on the nice guy with his best friend. What none of them knew was that the drunken mistake narrative was the generous version. Marcus was protecting me even in his silence by not correcting people's assumptions. He could have told everyone I'd planned it, that it happened multiple times, that I'd lied repeatedly to his face. But he didn't. He just disappeared from my life completely and let people believe the kindest possible version of my betrayal. That somehow made it worse. I tried reaching out through mutual friends. Every single one either ignored me or told me explicitly to leave Marcus alone. His roommate threatened to report me for harassment if I came by again. I created a fake Instagram account just to see if Marcus was okay. I know how that sounds, and saw he'd gone home for the rest of the semester. Tyler had apparently transferred schools entirely. I destroyed their friendship. That was the part that kept hitting me in waves. Marcus and Tyler had been best friends since they were 7 years old. They'd planned to be in each other's weddings. They talked about starting a business together. And I'd ended all of that because I needed to prove to myself that I could be wanted by multiple people. The semester ended, and I went home to my own fractured family. My mom asked how Marcus was, whether he'd be visiting over the summer. I'd never told her we broke up. I mumbled something about being busy and locked myself in my room, scrolling through old photos of the three of us looking happy. There was this one picture from spring break, me in the middle, Marcus's arm around my waist, Tyler making a stupid face. We looked like friends, like people who cared about each other. I remembered the exact moment that photo was taken. It was 2 days after the second time Tyler and I had sex. I was already planning the third. In the photo, I'm smiling directly at the camera with no hint of shame. Summer was its own special kind of torture. I couldn't escape my thoughts in the distraction of classes or campus activities. I just sat with what I'd done, replaying every decision, every rationalization, every moment I'd chosen to dig deeper into my own lie. I told myself I missed Marcus. What I actually missed was having someone worship me while I destroyed them. I missed the power of the secret, the thrill of the deception. Those realizations came slowly, painfully in the quiet of my childhood bedroom with nothing to distract me from my own nature. I drafted probably 100 messages to Marcus over those months. Apologies, explanations, pleas for closure. I never sent any of them. What was the point? Every true explanation made me look worse. Every apology was fundamentally selfish, seeking forgiveness to alleviate my own guilt rather than to actually make amends for harm I'd caused. Tyler sent me one message in July: Marcus and I aren't friends anymore. He can't forgive me, and honestly, I don't blame him. I'm transferring because I can't be at the same school after this. I don't think I'm a good person, but at least I finally told the truth. You should think about doing the same. I blocked him without responding because I didn't want to think about the truth. The truth was ugly and damning and revealed me as someone I didn't want to be. When I went back to school in the fall, Marcus wasn't there. He'd transferred too. The few mutual friends I encountered wouldn't tell me where, and I was too ashamed to push. The story of what I'd done had evolved in my absence. Now people said I'd been cheating for months, that I'd gaslighted Marcus, that Tyler had tried to stop me and I'd pursued him relentlessly. Some of those rumors were false, but they weren't entirely unfair extrapolations from the truth. I'd cheated multiple times over weeks. I'd lied to Marcus's face repeatedly. I'd initiated at least one of the encounters with Tyler. The details were sometimes wrong, but the character assessment was accurate. I spent my junior year in social isolation, watching from the periphery as the friend group that used to include me moved on. They found new places to hang out, new inside jokes, new group dynamics that didn't include the girl who'd betrayed one of their own. I dated briefly, but it felt hollow. Nobody could worship me the way Marcus had, and I'd apparently lost my taste for anything less. My grades suffered. My mental health suffered. I gained weight, then lost too much, then stopped caring about my appearance entirely. My mom asked if I was okay during our weekly phone calls, and I lied and said I was just stressed about classes. I couldn't tell her I was grieving the loss of someone I'd deliberately destroyed. The worst part was the defensive anger that would flare up whenever I thought about the situation. Marcus had trusted me completely, and that trust had felt like pressure. Tyler had shown me attention, and I'd chosen to interpret that as justification. Neither of them had forced me to do anything. I made every choice freely, and yet I kept trying to construct narratives where I was somehow less culpable. Tell myself that Marcus was too intense, too invested too quickly. That Tyler had pursued me just as much as I'd pursued him. That if Marcus had been more exciting, maybe I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. Every rationalization crumbled under the weight of basic honesty. I'd wanted to do it, so I did it, and I hadn't cared about the consequences because I'd felt entitled to attention from multiple sources. Senior year, I ran into Tyler's younger sister at a coffee shop. She recognized me, and the look on her face was pure contempt. Before I could say anything, she said, Tyler went to therapy for a year because of the guilt. Marcus still won't talk to him. You ruined my brother's most important friendship and you just, what, went on with your life? I wanted to tell her I hadn't gone on with my life, that I thought about it constantly, that I was drowning in the consequences of my own actions. Instead, I apologized quietly and left. What else was there to say? I graduated without ceremony, without celebration, without Marcus there to cheer for me like he'd promised he would back when we were together. My parents came, took photos, took me to dinner. My mom mentioned that I seemed different, sadder, more closed off than I used to be. I blamed stress. I blamed the pandemic. I blamed everything except my own choices. The truth kept following me though. In job interviews when they asked about my time management skills and I thought about managing two separate relationships simultaneously. In new relationships that fizzled because I couldn't trust myself not to sabotage them. In therapy sessions where I talked around the issue without fully confronting what I'd done. I saw Marcus exactly once after everything, 2 years after graduation. He was at a conference I was attending for work, standing across the hotel lobby, talking to colleagues. He looked good, healthy, confident, genuinely happy in a way I remembered from before I'd met him. I froze completely, trying to decide if I should approach him. He saw me before I could decide. Our eyes met across the crowded space and I watched him recognize me. His expression didn't change to anger or hurt. It went completely neutral, like I was a stranger he didn't quite place. Then he turned back to his conversation like I wasn't there at all. That neutrality destroyed me more than anger would have. I'd obliterated myself from his life so completely that 2 years later I didn't even warrant an emotional response. I was nothing, less than nothing. Just a person who used to exist in his world and no longer did. I left the conference early, called in sick to work, spent 3 days in my apartment confronting the reality I'd been avoiding. I'd destroyed something beautiful because I was broken. And instead of fixing what was broken in me, I'd spread that destruction to people who didn't deserve it. I found out through mutual social media connections that Marcus got engaged last year. His fiancée looks kind and genuine in her photos. He looks at her the way he used to look at me, complete adoration, total trust. The announcement mentioned his best friend giving a speech at the engagement party. The friend wasn't Tyler. I'd erased myself from Marcus's life so thoroughly that he'd replaced both of us, the girlfriend who betrayed him and the best friend who helped her do it. He'd built a whole new life that didn't include any traces of the damage we'd done. Tyler sent me a message when he saw the engagement announcement. Just, he deserves this. We didn't. He was right. Here's what I've learned in the 5 years since this happened, lessons that came too late to matter. Some people are genuinely good, and they don't deserve to be used as experiments for your own broken self-worth. Trust is a gift, not a pressure. If you feel trapped by someone's love, the problem is you, not them. And there's no such thing as controlling the narrative when you've burned everything down. The truth finds its way out, and it's always worse than you hoped it would be. I'm telling you this now because last week I got engaged myself. My fiancé is wonderful, patient, kind, completely unaware of what I'm capable of when I feel threatened by intimacy. He talks about our future the way Marcus used to, makes plans that assume I'll be there, trusts me completely. And I'm terrified. Terrified that the same broken part of me that destroyed Marcus is still there, waiting for the right trigger to sabotage this too. Terrified that I haven't actually changed, I've just gotten better at hiding my worst impulses. Terrified that my fiancé is looking at me with the same complete trust that I annihilated in Marcus, and history is just waiting to repeat itself. I haven't told him about Marcus, not the real story. He knows I had a bad breakup in college, that I cheated once and regret it. He doesn't know I chose it deliberately 3 times, that I destroyed a lifelong friendship in the process, that I felt powerful instead of guilty while I was doing it. Part of me thinks he deserves to know who he's marrying. The other part thinks I've genuinely changed, that the person who did those things isn't who I am anymore, that everyone deserves to move past their worst mistakes. But here's the thing I can't escape. Marcus thought he knew who he was marrying too. He thought I was the kind of person who could be trusted with his best friend, with his future, with his heart. He built his life around those assumptions, and I proved every single one of them wrong. So now I'm sitting here, engagement ring on my finger, writing out this whole sordid story for strangers on the internet, because I can't tell the one person who actually deserves to know it. I'm still choosing deception over honesty, still protecting myself over doing the right thing, still being exactly the person Marcus discovered I was that night in May. You wanted to know what really happened? That's what happened. I deliberately slept with my boyfriend's best friend 3 times while sober, destroyed their lifelong friendship, faced minimal actual consequences beyond social exclusion and guilt I arguably deserved, learned some lessons that came too late, and am now on the verge of recreating similar dynamics with a man who trusts me completely. The story everyone knows, drunken hookup, one-time mistake, regrettable lapse in judgment. That version lets me be human. Flawed but forgivable. The real version shows you exactly who I was, and maybe still am underneath the therapy and the years of reflection and the promises I make to myself about being different. Marcus ghosted me completely because he saw the real me and decided I wasn't worth his time or energy or anger. He was right. Tyler told the truth because his guilt became unbearable. Mine apparently isn't quite unbearable enough yet. So there it is, the whole truth, every terrible detail, all the parts that make me irredeemable instead of just imperfect. I'm not asking for forgiveness because I don't deserve it. I'm not even sure I'm asking for understanding. Maybe I just needed someone to know the worst version of this story, the one where I'm not the victim of poor judgment but the architect of deliberate cruelty. Judge me however you want. It probably won't be harsh enough.